Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sunday Night Live with Jimmy and Marilyn. So glad to see you. Hopefully, you're jumping on here and joining us. I see there's a handful of you. As always, if you wouldn't mind just letting us know that you're here, just click those like, love buttons and just shoot a quick little comment or something letting us know that you're there. We welcome everybody who's on Facebook. Also welcome those who might be watching on YouTube. We see you as well, and we appreciate the fact that you are there. If you're joining us via YouTube, I would make a suggestion that you like and subscribe to the page, and then also click notifications, the little bell button that's up there that just lets you know when we're going live, and it'll actually give you a little notification on your phone. So that would be good. So who do we have there?
I'm showing that we have Paul and Debbie Belt.
Hello, Paul. And Debbie.
Elizabeth.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Crystal.
A week after her birthday, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah. Gita.
And you said Crystal, Gita. Hi, Crystal and Gita.
Daniel.
I
don't know. Daniel, have we met you? The name doesn't look familiar.
In person?
Yeah, in person. Maybe we did just meet you. I don't know. Lori and Tammy.
Sweet. Well, welcome to all of you.
Oh, and Joseph.
Hello,
and Joseph, I would like to apologize. You were correct. We were already friends on Facebook, so I apologize. That is my fault.
Correction taken, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, anyway, we're gonna, I guess, kill just a couple of minutes here while people are getting on. But it's been a busy week. It's been like it feels like a really busy week. At least I feel like it's been a busy week. I know there's been a lot going on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. And
I'm replying to the comments. I'm like, okay. He said he's from the Blessings of Liberty group.
So that Daniel.
He's in Porterville.
I got you. Yep, I've met
or
Daniel.
That area.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm tracking.
We have a Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
Michelle, have we met you?
Nice to meet you. If we have not, if we have, we have to apologize a little bit. We've met like 1,500 people in the last couple of months, and trying to keep everybody straight when you see them at rallies can be kind of tough. So,
well, and with social media, you know names because you only see, like, when somebody replies, I see the name unless I actually click on their account and look at their their profile picture, but not everybody has their picture on their profile picture.
And some people put profile pictures on there that are A, from 30 years ago, or B, they use the filter. It's like a Snapchat filter or something. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you look like that. Anyway, it's funny.
Jim's the Docs Michelle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, Jim the Docs Michelle. So
got it.
Tracking with you. Hi, Michelle. We did meet Michelle yesterday.
Manly?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, now I'm tracking. Sorry.
Cool. Well, anyway, so happy to have you guys with us on Sunday evening. And we just want to, like we do every week, we're going to kind of go over the events of what happened this last week. We're going to talk a little bit about what
the events, the dramas of this week.
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on next week. We're going to try to keep this to a minimum as far as what happened this week, right? Because we could talk for hours.
You say that every single Sunday.
What I mean is, we could probably talk about Visalia Unified for like 2 hours.
That was like, yeah. That was like Jerry Springer, guys.
It was
crazy.
Anyway, we'll get into that here in a couple minutes. Now, you had mentioned just before we came on that we should probably mention something else that happened this week.
Yeah.
And that was like some fallout from the parade a little bit.
From the Tulare parade.
Yeah, Tulare parade. And it wasn't necessarily bad. It didn't end up bad. But I did get an email from the parade director or the president of the Downtown Association or whoever it is that puts on the parade. What?
I'm just laughing because thankfully you opened it because I only read the first like little blurb of it. And I was like, oh, he's thanking us for being in the parade. Awesome. And then Jimmy's like, did you open it and actually read the whole thing? I'm like, no. And then this happens.
Yeah, no, all that happened was he had said there was an issue with the parade, or, our participation in the parade. And it was just that, I guess, all the touch cards that we handed out, they said they found hundreds of those things on the streets of the parade afterwards. And like the street sweepers don't pick those things up because they're basically just business cards. And so it resulted in a lot of manual labor trying to get those picked up. And so I guess some people had some heartache about our cause, I guess, based on the hours they had to spend picking up business cards. So anyway, we kind of talked it through and said, I told them I certainly apologize, but we can't control what people do with these things. And we said, maybe what we can do is turn it into a positive thing. And after the first of the year, we'll put together a group of people and we'll just go do like a trash pickup day, and they can blast that all over social media, Unmasked Tulare County being a community minded group and blah, blah, blah. And so we felt like that was probably a pretty good way to rectify the situation and get things going in a good light. So anyway, I told them that, between now and Christmas, I'm not even going to try to organize anything because it just wouldn't work very well. So we'll probably pick a Saturday in January and see about just going and, taking a handful of us in our hoodies or something and just going out there and picking up trash downtown. So it could be a kind of a fun event. And that's one of the things that I think is important when it comes to the group. And, we don't want to just, like I said, even at the parade, we don't want to just be the angry people in the room all the time. We want to be community minded. We want people to think of us and be like, you know what, those are people who, are doing good things in the community.
Yeah.
And so part of that is just doing things like this, grabbing a handful of people and going out and picking up some trash. But it's kind of an interesting end result to what was a pretty good event. It was a great night.
Yeah. Honestly, I was a little like, really? Now we have to go pick up the trash? I said, it's not, my viewpoint was we didn't go out there and just throw the cards and them end up on the ground. We physically handed them to somebody.
Yeah.
So what they do from there is really not our problem. Like,
right.
I don't feel like that's my problem.
Sure.
But I get what Jimmy's saying. I think that this is a great opportunity for us to, bring the community together, which really ultimately is what we're wanting to do anyways.
Yeah.
So, if we can make a positive spin on it, hopefully form some more relationships and, make it a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the meantime, maybe encourage the city to, like what Jim suggested, is get a better street sweeper.
Oh yeah. Jim on YouTube says, hey, buy a new street sweeper or new brooms or something.
Exactly.
No, and it was probably up in the sidewalks and all that stuff too. That might be part of what the issue was.
Yeah. And what Lori just said, and it's not unusual for businesses to pass out flyers in a parade.
And
that's what I was kind of upset about, was because I'm like, they're coming back on us and they're upset with us. However, there were no rules in there stating that we couldn't pass those out. And
he didn't say we couldn't or shouldn't have passed those out. He was just saying that at the end of the day, there's a ton of trash on the ground and most of it said Unmasked Tulare County on it. So that's all
trying to leave our mark.
Anyway, and I don't really like that either. I don't want to look down and just see a whole bunch of our touch cards laying on the ground either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the cards are art, and I'm assuming this is Paul saying, yes, Visalia Santa will come help pick up cards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and thank you for that, Paul. The cards are picked up. A few of the board members for Tulare downtown spent a few hours getting all those picked up. So we'll go pick up, trash on another day or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, no big deal, but just want to let you know, we will be asking for, a handful of people to go out and join us to do that, but that'll be after the first of the year. So good times.
Yeah.
Always something, right?
Never a dull moment.
No. So anyway, so just getting into last week, there were a couple of board meetings last week. One was the a special board meeting for the Visalia Unified, also Porterville Union High School District, I think is what they're called, PUSD. They had their board meeting. Unified, not Union. Thank you. But they had their board meeting on Thursday. And so we were going to kind of touch on a couple of those things. I guess first we want to dive into Visalia.
Yeah.
So those of you who, most of you who are on here probably are well versed in what happened with Visalia, but just to give, I guess,
like a recap.
Just a recap. So what Tuesday's meeting was for Visalia Unified was to select or attempt to select a board member to replace a board member who had resigned. So the way that works is you have two options. There can be a special election, and the people get to choose who they want to fill out the remainder of that term. Or in most cases, what they'll do is they will take applications from the public, and then the board will interview and make a selection for who's going to replace that. So it's kind of a different situation, because I want to say there was 3 years left on that term. So what the plan that Visalia came up with was that they were going. What?
The term was supposed to be up in 22.
No, I think the full term is up in 24. Anyway, either way, whatever it is, they decided that they were going to do the application, interview, and then selection process for the board. So that's what who just said 24? Who just said I was right?
Oh, Joseph Beaton. He probably is right.
Fair enough.
I'm not going to argue with Joseph.
Right. So anyway, but what they were going to do was they were going to select the board member, and then the next, I think in November of 22, they were going to have the election for that rest of the term. So from 22 to 24. That's what they were planning on doing. So anyway, what that meeting was the interview and the process of the board selecting that person. And it got crazy, because it went pretty much the way you would think it would go. There was one person on that being interviewed out of the 4 that was, in our opinion, I think would line up most clearly with our point of view and way of looking at things. That was Bob Ainley. And we had a couple of conservative board members who were pushing really, really hard for him. And he got up into the top 2, along with another lady who had served previously for several years. In my opinion, was probably part of the reason why there's such disconnect between parents and the board in general. So I think she was probably part of the problem, not part of the solution, but she was still right up there in the top 2 with Bob. And so it was basically a stalemate, because nobody had enough votes to be able to get selected that night. It was one guy she had 3 votes, Bob had 2 votes. You had to have 4 votes to get selected. So sorry, it's all kind of technical and weird, but it was basically a stalemate. And so it was going to have to go to a special election at that point. So because the rules are, if they can't come to a decision as far as appointing somebody, then it has to go to a special election. And so everybody had kind of conceded that point, realizing that we were at a stalemate, and they needed to do the special election thing. And then all of a sudden, like out of left field, one of the members of the board says, "Hey, why don't we nominate the most liberal person and see if we want to vote on them?" And everybody's like, "What?" And I looked over and I was like, there's not going to be even a second on that. Like, that's just crazy talk. And then somebody seconded it, and it went to a vote. And inexplicably, one of our more conservative members of that board just totally flopped at the last second, voted yes for this person. And now we have a situation. So the situation is they elected a probably early 20s COS professor who's, I don't remember what he teaches, but it's like liberal arts or something crazy like that. He's from
political science, or is that his
he
major?
might have been political science major or something like that.
His major.
And he's a guy who came from UC Santa Cruz, and I mean he's that type, right? I think
he's from Bakersfield, but he went to UC Santa Cruz, and he's lived in Visalia for 2 years, from my understanding,
or less.
You guys correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm on a streak already. And he's lived in that area for 6 months.
Yeah. So honestly,
they elected a political science.
And the thing about him was, I mean, we were talking about, if we were sitting there with a bottle of whiskey, we could have had a drinking game. And
oh my goodness!
And every time he said equity or referred to equity as being a priority, I mean, we'd all been under the table drunk by the time we left there.
Yeah, we would have had
it was nuts.
It was ridiculous.
So I mean, at the end of the night, in our opinion, they selected the worst possible candidate for this time period where they're going to be doing all of their voting and things on COVID mandates and all of that stuff. So they basically did everything they could to screw us when it comes to that. So those of you who are in Visalia, not to put a damper on your spirits or anything, but you're in a bad spot, you know, when it comes to what's coming up. So you lost the majority, and you have people who, it's not going to go well. But there is a provision in the ed code to overrule this. It's basically a way to make a power play by we the people, and that is through a petition. If we turn in a petition within 30 days that has a 1.5% of the signatures of the electorate, so the people who were registered to vote in the last election, if you can get 1.5% of those people from that area in Visalia to sign a petition saying we need a special election, we don't want to accept the results of what the board did, then a special election will happen. So, I know that there's been some people in Visalia that we've been talking to who are looking at that option, also looking at putting some pressure because there may have been some things that went on that night that were not exactly kosher or legal. So I think on both fronts, it's a good idea. One, to try to put pressure on the board to say, you know what was done, like, for example, the Catalina Blair, who is the most recent appointee to that Area 4, I think, position. She wasn't even allowed to vote on that because she was related to the other lady who was in the finals. But when they pulled this request out of left field, she should have been allowed to vote on that last one and wasn't. So there might be a procedural thing that's going on there. So there might be opportunity to right this wrong, I think is what I'm saying. But it's going to take the people to step in and make that happen.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
But then that's assuming that the other conservative on the board would change her mind.
That's true.
Hopefully because if she doesn't change her mind, then it's not then how Catalina votes isn't going to change anything, correct?
No, but correct. You are correct in that. But also one of the other board members, I think, is about to have a baby and would likely not be a part of that vote if it's done with the right time frame. So you might be able to swing that differently.
Okay.
But anyway, it was a crazy when the conservative board member, I hesitate to put quotes on conservative, but for whatever reason, she ended up voting yes for this COS guy. Like the air just went out of the room. I mean, both Marilyn and I were there, and it was just kind of this gasp of unbelief. I'm sure even the COS guy was like, what in the heck just happened here? But yeah, it was the craziest thing. And like the group of us who were there that are a part of this group, we just walked out at that point. Like we had no interest in staying for the swearing in or any of that stuff because it was, honestly, we felt betrayed.
Yeah.
We really felt betrayed because somebody we thought was in our corner and had been in our corner all night. That's the part that confuses me because she fought hard. This board member who flip-flopped, Walta, she fought hard the whole night for Bob Ainley, which was, I think, the right thing to do. And then just at the very end, inexplicably, she just flip-flopped. So I don't know. It's crazy, but I'm hoping that we can right the ship. And as I've been thinking about it over the last few days, I've really thought, you know what, maybe, just maybe, that they did the best thing possible for us. Because if we the people, and by we the people, I mean y'all in Visalia, putting together a grassroots attempt at getting this thing overturned. But if we the people can pull a power play on that and basically tell the board, look, you don't rule the roost here.
Yeah.
You have to submit to what we want. And the way that gets done is by going out. It's only like, I think it's going to be somewhere between 100 and 150 signatures is what it's going to come out to be. Somebody needs to go early this week, to the county
Registrar of Voters,
the Registrar of Voters office, and find out what that number actually is. But I want to say that there's like 7,000, like 7,200 voters in that area of Visalia. And if that's the case, that's only going to work out to be a little over 100 votes. So, or signatures, excuse me, not votes, but signatures. And again, just to be clear on what that process is, it's almost like a recall, but you're basically going out and saying, hey, we're gathering signatures on a petition that says, hey, this should go to special election, and we want it to be a special election. And so if you're able to do that and gather the signatures, it forces that special election. So,
and their argument for not wanting to do the special election was because, it costs money to have an election, and they don't want to spend, $50,000 or however much it costs of the district's money to hold this special election.
Yeah.
That was their argument.
Right. Whatever. Right. You guys waste so much more money on so many other
How many
garbage
millions
things.
of ESSER funds have they gotten? I'm sorry. That's frustrating.
So anyway, that's nuts. But really, I think the takeaway from this is there's an opportunity, and I think we have to choose to look at it that way, is there's an opportunity to make a pretty sweet power play from the people. And, if we're able to do that, I like that idea even better than trying to force the board to undo what they did. I like the idea of pulling, it's an ultimate power play if you can just go in and overrule what they did. Then you're letting those people know, like, we're not going to take it.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a great thing, but it's an urgent thing too, because you only have 30 days from the time that person was installed. And if my math was correct, it was like January 8th is what that would come down to be. So you need to have those signatures collected and turned in by the 8th. So anyway, hopefully, there'll be a group putting that together, and we'll have more information very soon on that so we can keep going with that. So excuse me.
Somebody commented that the board members just spent $10,000 to go to an in-person conference in San Diego. I have a question. Did they have the opportunity to attend the conference via Zoom?
No,
I want to say
doubt any of us know that.
Oh, Visalia people know.
So yeah,
I'm just curious.
Sure. So anyway, Visalia need to rally, get that thing done, make that power play, and just see some change made. So in addition to that, Porterville also had their meeting on Thursday, and it was much less eventful, but also frustrating. Just a little bit of backdrop to that. Those of you who were at our Tulare County Freedom Rally yesterday were introduced to a process that we're working on now when it comes to basically building a case against having people removed from office when and if it comes to that. So this is one of the ways that we are pursuing this thing. And part of that process is submitting a written inquiry with dozens of questions that we're asking them to answer. Everything from questions about the authority that they have to force their teachers, their students, their parents, and all that stuff to do medical interventions that are under emergency authorization and all those things. So there's questions on there about that. There's questions on there about receiving money and what that money was used for, what kind of strings are attached to that money, if they were ever threatened that they would lose funding or anything else if they did things a certain way. Just trying to get full disclosure with all that kind of stuff. So all throughout the county, there are these letters that are being submitted to various school districts. And Porterville was one of the first ones that had a meeting after that formal inquiry had been sent out. So we were really curious to see what the response was going to be because they were actually able to get it onto the agenda as a communication item. So we were pretty excited to just kind of see how that went. And so I made the drive out to Porterville. It was crazy. They did a Friday meeting. I said Thursday. It was actually Friday. It was a Friday meeting at 1 p.m. is how they did that meeting. So I don't know if that was, and from what I understand, if there's anybody from Porterville, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a time change from what was scheduled originally, and which is really frustrating because, we're seeing that even in Exeter. Like we found out Exeter changed up their agenda schedule, and they put public comment at the very end because they knew that there's going to be a lot of people there, and it looks like they're hoping to discourage people from showing up so that they can, kind of stifle the voices and everything. So, I mean, it's a poker game, right? This whole thing is a poker game. And so we're making moves and they're making moves, and, everybody's bluffing and doing different things. So that's one of the things they're doing, is they're trying to change things up and make things a little bit harder for us. But anyway, in Porterville, they did allow for, they had their public comment section at the beginning. There was a number of people who got up and spoke about COVID. Folks did a great job over there. I applaud everybody in Porterville who got up and spoke on that. And then once they got to the item where they were supposed to discuss this inquiry, it went crazy. It was the superintendent spent like 15 minutes just basically talking about why the decisions have been made by the district that have been made, talking about sort of the chain of command as far as, who they look to for advice and mandates and guidances and all that stuff. So he spent 15 minutes basically justifying the things that they've been doing. And then he asked the board if there were any questions. And of course, there were no questions. They all just stood there and stared at him behind their masks. And then he's like, okay, then we're going to move on. And Josh Flowers was standing up at the podium, ready to address this. And he says, aren't you going to open this up for comment about this item? And they said, nope, they didn't have any questions. We moved on to the next item. And basically that was that. And so everybody in the crowd that was there for this started hollering at them and everything, but they were kind of adamant they were moving on. And so I guess they felt like they addressed it. There were no questions from the board, and so they didn't need public input, which is crazy. And I think procedurally it's incorrect, because they were supposed to allow for people to speak to any specific agenda item. But this was my first go around with Porterville, and it was just kind of interesting to see how they run that thing. So very definitely it's a situation where the superintendent is informing the board, and the board just kind of nods their head and goes with it. So I don't know if in other situations or circumstances, if those board members have more to say, but you could definitely see who's wearing the pants in that district based on that meeting, which was kind of nuts as well. So the good news is that not responding or refusing to respond to these inquiries kind of plays into our hand a little bit, because we are building a case, really, is what we're doing. And so refusing to answer the questions, when it comes later, and we're able to show that, look, we gave them an opportunity to be transparent and answer these questions, and they chose not to. It's going to be hard to defend later. So anyway, that's part of what the beauty is of the things like the inquiries, is if they do answer them, that would be great, because they would be probably admitting to some of the things we've all been suspicious of for a while. But they're most likely not going to answer them, and that actually works okay as well. So anyway, that was kind of what went on at Porterville. It was an interesting time for sure. And yeah, good times.
That's crazy.
Good times, great oldies. All right. What else went on this week? We had a freedom rally yesterday in Exeter. So this was a Tulare County freedom rally. It was kind of a partnership between Unmasked Tulare County, Blessings of Liberty out of Porterville, and Tulare County Coalition for Freedom that's out of Exeter. So we got together, we put on this joint event, and I think it was a pretty good event.
Yeah.
For being middle of December, it was supposed to be a cold day. It actually turned out to be a really nice afternoon.
Yeah.
But middle of December, we knew with Christmas and all the Christmas festivities and things that people had going on,
it's hard,
that it probably wasn't going to be, hundreds and hundreds of people. But we probably had, I would say, 120 people or so out there. And we had some good stuff going on. We had several people speak on a lot of different things. Like I said, we introduced this process of inquiries and notices and affidavits as one of the ways. We talked about replacing board members who need to be replaced, because we've asked people to come alongside of us for a long time now. We've asked them to come and join the fight. We want to succeed with the people that we have. Like that's ultimately what we want. But if they won't come alongside us and they won't represent the people and the rights of the people, then they're probably not the right person for the job, and it's time to start replacing them. And we've been talking about that now for weeks. So yesterday was kind of the unveiling of one of the strategies that we are using to get that done. But we also reiterated, hey, there's other ways to do it as well. Maybe ask these people to resign. That would be great if we just said, hey, we'd like to call for your resignation. Who knows? Maybe somebody will. Like maybe say, you know what, I didn't sign up for this. This isn't what I was wanting to try to do when I ran for school board. So I'll resign. So that would be great. Otherwise, we need to be looking at these people, especially the ones who are going to be up for reelection in 2022. We have to be ready to run against them. A lot of these people run unopposed.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So,
well, and that, just to go back to Visalia Unified, when they were talking about one of the candidates being a board member for like 9 years or whatever, and yada, 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 from my understanding, she ran unopposed. So, I mean, no offense, but I'm like, that's not really that big of an accomplishment.
Yeah. You got elected against nobody.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry.
It's hard to lose that race.
Rude. That sounds rude. But do you get what I'm saying? I'm like, she again, that's from my understanding, that's what I was told, is that she ran unopposed that entire time. But then when she had an opponent, that's when she lost.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how is that even?
Yeah. But I mean, all over the county, all over everywhere, a lot of times these school board positions, they just, it's almost like the people just take it for granted that position belongs to so-and-so because they've had it forever. Right. Yeah. That's what they do. And so there's a lot of times only one person on the ballot, or there might be one other random person on the ballot or something. But generally speaking, these people have just been able to run and not put any effort into it. Like, I know in town, I feel like I've only ever seen one or two like yard signs for candidates for school board. You never see it because they don't really have any competition. So anyway, that needs to change. If we have folks who are not representing us well, then we have an opportunity to replace them with somebody who will represent us well. So, we have to start gathering people with interest in filling those roles and getting ready to get behind those people and get them into office next year.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways as well.
Or hopefully sooner.
So anyway, that was part of what we did yesterday, was kind of introduce all of those things. We had some conversations on the Constitution and basically the constitutional crisis that we're in right now. And really that's what it comes down to is, we have the perfect solution, and that's the Constitution that our nation and our states were founded upon. And over the years, we've gotten away from those things, and we've gotten into more, red tape and bureaucratic type governments. And we really need to get back to being governed by we, the people. And so that's, on the macro level, that's what we're fighting for here, is to self-govern and do things the way that we're supposed to do them in America. And so, that was one of the talking points that we had. We had a call to action. It was just a good event. I felt like it was a really good event. Great place to get connected. We announced the January 3rd Sacramento trip, which I saw somebody had commented on. That's going to be a really important thing coming up. And it was a good, solid event yesterday.
Yeah.
So long day, really long day, but it was good.
It was a productive day.
It was productive. Absolutely. Sorry, I have my notes on my phone, so I'm looking at it to make sure we're not missing anything. So that's kind of what happened this last week. It was a lot. It was an emotional week, just because it seemed like so much of it was crazy. And that I'm looking at you, Visalia. It was crazy. Yeah. But it was good. It was a good time. This week, so this is December, right? So not a ton goes on in December when it comes to board meetings or business being done because of the holiday season and all of that stuff. This week, there are several board meetings that these school boards will be having their one board meeting for the month. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I know that Tulare has one on Tuesday. Tulare City
Schools
has theirs on Tuesday at 5:30. Exeter Unified has theirs on Wednesday at 5:00. Thursday is also Visalia Unified. Your normal board meeting, I believe, is on Tuesday as well. Thursday is going to be Tulare Joint Union High School. I know that I think like Sundale has theirs on Tuesday as well. And a lot of the other school districts are probably going to be littered into this week. So, that's something you might want to, if you're interested in attending those board meetings, putting on some pressure before the end of the new year. It's most likely going to fall into this week, because going into the next week, there's probably not much going on because kids are out of school.
Yeah.
People are basically in Christmas mode at that point.
I think it is important to attend these meetings though, because we need to let them know that we haven't forgotten about what's going on.
Yeah.
And we're not going to let up.
Right.
So
yeah, I think it's great if we can just kind of leave them going into their Christmas season knowing that, hey, we're on you. And, we're like Marilyn said, we're not going away.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten about what's going on just because it's the holiday season.
The pressure is going to increase, not decrease, right? They need to know that. So anyway, be on the lookout, be ready, attend those meetings. Even if you don't go talk, you can attend. And if you are a speaker at the meetings and, there's a whole bunch of people in the room who are not going to speak, one little trick that works really well is whoever is speaking, just turn and ask like, hey, how many of you guys are here, in opposition of COVID mandates, and have everybody raise their hands. So then those who are not speaking can actually have a voice. It's pretty powerful. When we've had this happen in Tulare several times where the room has been full of people, and I'll turn and I'll say, hey, if you're here, because of X, Y, and Z, why don't you raise your hand? I think that's a great idea. Ask them to stand up. And that way
hopefully
it shows
some of them are standing, because hopefully these boardrooms are packed.
Yeah, that's absolutely. But that is one way that you can get people involved who are not speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So I just give that little recommendation there. Last thing I think we really want to talk about is the January 3rd Sacramento trip, right?
Yeah, I'm excited. So we have already started a list. We have 3 pickup locations. For buses. Yes. Yeah. One is going to be in Porterville, one for Tulare, and one for Exeter. I did have somebody ask me about Visalia, and it sounds to me, I would imagine that there would be enough people in Visalia that would want to go. Do we need to then reserve a 4th bus?
We'll see. The thing is, like, whether you put one person on a bus or whether you fill all 58 seats, it costs the same amount of money.
Exactly.
So I want to kind of see what the response is to fill these 3 buses. I'm hoping that we fill 3 buses.
The buses seat 58-ish.
58.
58 people. So, if we can, and the cost for the bus is close to $2,000. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose all this. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, if you divide that between the 58 people, it's like, 30, whatever, we rounded it up to $40. Okay. So that is going to take you to Sacramento. We will stop on the way up there.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
We'll be at the Capitol. We'll do our thing. Bring, a chair if you want to bring signs,
snacks,
banners, snacks, stuff like that. And then the drive back. And the plan is to be back around 8:00.
Yeah, I would think we'd be back by 8. A lot of it's going to depend on how long the rally goes, which we don't know. And then, we'll just leave when it's done. And then I don't think we'll be back any later than 8. But figure it's going to be about a 12-hour day. And the other thing about that is, like, you don't have to take the bus. So, we're chartering buses. But, for example, if you have a family of 8 people, $40 a seat on a bus for 8 people gets really expensive. So you may want to drive down there because that makes a lot more sense. Or maybe you're coming from, you're going to happen to be in Fresno that day and you'd just rather drive up. We certainly welcome, do get there however you want to get there. Some people may want to go spend the weekend and just go up to Sacramento or go up Sunday so it's not such a busy day. Like, obviously you can do all of that stuff, but we wanted to get the bus option there for people because, especially if you're driving by yourself or maybe with 2 or with another person, that's a full tank of gas. And if you drive a big old truck or something, that might be 2 tanks of gas or something, getting back and forth. And with the gas prices these days, we certainly wanted to provide that option for people. So, like Marilyn said, we've got Exeter, Porterville, and Tulare right now as far as pickup drop-off locations. And we're going to play that by ear over the next few days. And if we think we need to add a Visalia, then we will. So we could also probably, I don't know, we'll cross that bridge as we get to it. Right now, we just need to get people signed up. So there are only 59 spots on these buses. 58, excuse me. Only 58 seats on these buses. So you might want to let us know ahead of time, like right now, if you want seats on those buses. So you can drop something in the comments. Also let your friends know. You can, there's a post with an advertisement on the top of our page. You can go to that. I would say comment on that and tag all your friends who are in this group in that post. And it's just the advertisement for January 3rd. So if you tag everybody in that, because we do know too on the Facebook side of things, we know we're being throttled. We know people are not seeing all of our posts and all of our stuff. And so I'm sure there are tons of people that are in the group that have never even seen anything about this January 3rd trip. So we really have to start spreading word and getting that out there. So that's going to be pretty important.
And another thing is, just because if you tell me like, hey, put my name on the list for the Tulare bus, your spot is not reserved until you paid.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it's a first come, first serve. Unfortunately, that's just the way it has to, has to go. But
yeah.
So, and then, we accept cash, check, Venmo, whatever.
Venmo, PayPal, however we need to collect that from you, we can. Right.
We do PayPal.
We have PayPal.
I don't know.
We have PayPal for sure. Yeah, you can pay on our website. I mean, there's a way you can like do a donation thing and put a note in there and just say what it's for, and that'll give you the option just to do it that way, and then we'll get an email that tells us what the donation was and what it was for, and then we can put you on the list. So that would be another way that you can get that done. Yeah, I think that's about it for tonight.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, we're going to be obviously hitting the school boards hard this week. We're going to be prepping for our January 3rd thing, but we're going to take a little bit of time just over the next couple of weeks because we are in the Christmas season. And so we're going to be probably a little bit less visible with some of this kind of stuff unless something crazy happens, and that has to change. But schools will be out of session. A lot of people are focused on Christmas and the holiday season, as you should be.
Yeah.
And so, you may not see as much from us over the next couple of weeks as you have in the past. So don't think we forgot about you or we lost passion or like any of this. We're in this to win this, and we are going to win it. But, we do have to take time for some other stuff as well. So we do encourage you all to, just recognize the reason for the season, and that is hope. That is, Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us. And, take some encouragement over this holiday season and, realizing that it's more than the pressure of getting things done. It's more than, all of those things. It is about hope, and it's about encouragement, and it's about joy. And hopefully it's a good opportunity for us to reset and just really hit the ground running coming into the next year. So anyway, love you guys. We appreciate you. So thankful to have found all of you. And, we were talking yesterday just about how one of the great things about this, one of the silver linings in this cloud that we're in is having gotten to meet all of you people and, really finding our tribe and finding like-minded people. And,
Mm-hmm.
It's been one of the blessings of our life and our year is developing some of these friendships. And we look forward to cultivating those friendships, further and meeting more of you and, having those relationships. And it's just a great perk in all of this.
Yeah. A lot of times I get so overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can't do this. Like, we can't do this all by ourselves. And then, like, for example, like the parade in Tulare, I was like, I don't know how to decorate a float. Like, I'm not crafty, guys, at all. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do, And then all of a sudden, like, people just start coming and they're like, we had Elizabeth and her family. They were like, we have a trailer and a truck that you can use. You can come to our property and decorate it. Gita was a tremendous, there's no way we could have done it without her. Just helped us decorate, and it was so cute.
Yeah.
There's no way I could have come up with that.
Right.
And then the participation, again, it's kind of awkward when you have a float and there's like 2 people.
Right.
Like, you do what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so the people that came out and participated, like, it was so wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just kind of shows how, God's hand is on all of this.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is. And God's hand is with us. And I mean, I could tell you a number of stories. I won't tonight just for the sake of time, but I am thoroughly convinced, you could not tell me otherwise, that I'm convinced that God is with us in this. Wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think his hand was on our cause and what we're doing. And so we are going to win this thing. I don't know when.
Mhm.
I don't know when. I can't promise you that it's going to go the way we think it's going to go or any of that stuff. But, we are going to win. Victory belongs to the Lord. And he's going to see victory happen in this thing. So be encouraged and go out. Have a great week. We love you. Go to your school board meeting this week. And we will talk to you later on.
Oh, and if you want to sign up for January 3rd, let me know.
Yes. As soon as possible, please.
Yes.
All right, guys. Talk to you.